Okay, so are you ready for the top five movies of 2015?
Yes. Cookie voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like there were a lot of movies this year too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot of blockbusters, a lot of action movies. Uh,
Why do I have the feeling a lot of those will show up in your list?
Not necessarily. There was a couple of rescue movies.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to be like the theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There
good
was like a couple of true high danger movies.
mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah, so big variety.
indeed. So do you want to start this one off?
Oh, am I going to start it off? Okay, I'll start it off.
All right.
Number five. Speaking of Steve Carell,
Mm-hmm.
The Big Short.
Hey, I have that higher.
Do you have that higher?
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt.
Great cast, man.
Yeah, I mean this is based on true story also.
The 2008 housing
Yeah,
crisis. Yes.
yeah. But they were thinking about this thing was going to go before that.
Right.
So they were betting against the
Right.
housing market, which was like booming like crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And Kirill was investigating, like he didn't believe that
Yeah.
this
Right,
was
right.
gonna
The
happen.
part where they go and they find out like they're giving houses to, like strippers and stuff, like
Yeah, right.
like handing
And it
them
was
out
like,
like candy.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
2 weeks later, they can't pay their mortgages and stuff, and
Right.
they're going under.
Yeah. And Christian Bale's character is cool. Like he plays this kind of savant, kind of
Yeah, he
genius
was the
guy.
one that started it.
Right. And
And
he predicted, yeah.
because you can't short the thing because it didn't exist to short it.
Right,
So you had to
exactly.
go to banks,
Right.
to get them to do a contract and stuff.
Yeah.
And they
Crazy.
go, well, she goes, well, how much you thinking about doing? And he goes, well, 5 mil.
Yeah.
And then they go, yeah, we can do 5 mil.
Yeah.
And he goes, how about 10? And they're looking at each other giggling and they're going,
Yeah.
yeah, great, we can do 10.
Yeah, yeah, really. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And it was well done. I liked how, there's a good deal of comedy inserted into to keep it interesting because it's like, how can they really make a movie that hold your interest with this? But it was cool, and the whole investigative thing,
Yeah,
and
well, it was a little heavy, like when they're getting into the thing with the different uh, mortgage rates and stuff like that, and how
right,
they're packaging it and all that stuff. And then
right,
they're packaging on top of packaging. Like they'll take some from A and some from B, and then make a new package
yeah,
C,
yeah.
just
Well,
to keep
even
the money rolling in.
yeah, well, even when they're explaining that stuff to the layman in big terminology, they have like Margot Robbie in a bathtub explaining it or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like ridiculous. Well, Adam McKay directed it, so it makes
yeah,
sense that they had a good sense of humor about it. But yeah, great pick, and yeah, I have it considerably higher on my list. So
okay.
all right, so my number five is Inside Out, the Pixar movie of the year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want this is when this is probably around the time when I started to really realize like how great Pixar movies are. Of course, they've been already for a while, the Toy Stories and the
Is this
Finding
around the
Nemos.
time that your niece was born?
Yeah, actually, well, she was already old enough to watch it. I think we watched it
Yeah.
with her. So yeah, I just love the concept of this movie. How the human emotions are being portrayed by these little beings inside you, and they were perfectly cast as well. Like Lewis Black as Anger was great, you know, and
Yeah, Black is always good. You can
yeah,
always tell his voice.
exactly,
He
yeah,
gets like so hyper. It's like building it up.
right, yeah. And then I think it was Bill Hader as Fear, and Amy Poehler is the main character who, you know, of course it ends up being like an adventure story, and then on the outside it's this little girl who's you know, having issues with moving. Her parents don't understand how she's feeling, and neither does she. So she's coming to terms with her emotions, and I just thought it was like really well done. One of the best Pixar movies that up to that point that, of course, both kids and adults can enjoy. So, so yeah, I almost had it as my honorable mention, but I bumped it up a notch. So,
Okay.
so what's your number 4?
My number 4 is an action movie.
Okay.
Mad Max is back.
Oh yes, everyone loved the Mad Max that year. Yeah,
Yes.
Fury
So Mad
Road.
Max Fury Road. And Mel Gibson was not in this one, obviously. I think
Right.
he'd be kind of too old to play Max in this one.
But directed by the same guy of the original,
George Miller?
George Miller, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Charlize Theron is the big star in this
Mhm.
movie.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So obviously this is post-apocalyptic, and it's like generations post-apocalyptic, and they're all like basically living like in different sections headed by warlords.
Yeah.
So she's going against her warlord and taking his young mistresses away to where she grew up.
Right.
So there's all these, the whole warlord's army is chasing them, and they're in all these like souped up cars with all these weird configurations.
And the effects are all like real, no CGI.
Yeah, yeah, it's like nonstop. It's like
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
And they're like running this gauntlet through this other warlord's thing where they're supposed to get safe passage.
Right.
And then, you know, Max convinces them that when they found out that the paradise that she came from no longer exists, to go back again
Yeah.
and knock off the warlord, and you know, and take over the thing. So now they're going back and running the whole gauntlet again.
Yeah. And this is the kind of I guess you could call it a sequel, where you don't necessarily have to watch the old ones at all, right, to get into
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like self-explanatory. But I
Yeah.
mean, it was just like
Yeah.
constant
Non-stop action.
killing, nonstop action. It was
Yeah.
the, you know, the driving scenes and stuff were
Mhm.
like really amazing. They were like really great.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it, so maybe I'll have to, because I never really got into the old ones. And then when I found out Tina Turner's not in it, I just no, I'm just kidding.
She was
That
only
has
in
nothing
the
to do with
She was in the second one, wasn't she?
it. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Beyond
right.
Thunderdome. Yeah,
Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah, you
right.
liked that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was
You were a
too
kid.
little to know what I liked at that point. All right, so good pick though. So my number 4 is I was gonna say similar, but not really. Uh The Martian.
I had
The
that higher.
okay, cool. Yeah, Matt Damon stuck on Mars, directed by Ridley Scott. And yeah, what I like about this movie is it feels very realistic, even though, you know, of course, we haven't yet gotten there yet, but it feels like in the not too distant future, something
Yeah.
like this could happen.
Probably one of the greatest rescue movies ever made.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, because the rescue mission was insane, you know, like
I
they
know.
had to find this this kid that, oh, Donald Glover, I think, is the one who comes up with the whole concept of the slingshot thing around the moon or whatever they
Yeah.
have to do.
And
And
Daniels was great in the thing too, as head of NASA.
right. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then Jessica Chastain was really good as
Yeah,
you know,
as the commander of the
right. But the way it happened, like the way he got stuck there, it was completely plausible that like they thought that he was already dead and all that. But then yeah, the way he was able to survive, you know, growing potatoes on Mars.
right. Yeah,
Uh
using his own shit as
yeah,
fertilizer and stuff.
right,
And
right,
then all the mishaps that happened.
right. Yeah, because
When he
like
almost blew himself up trying to
yeah,
create like a humidity environment for
yeah.
the potatoes to grow and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like having to calculate out like how many days can I survive by
Yeah,
eating this much of a potato and all this. And then yeah, I love the whole when they recognize that there's been movement on Mars, you know, like that someone's there, and then they have to do the whole like
yeah,
SOS signals
because
to
every time he charged the rover,
right,
they could see that it moved.
right, yeah,
And then they were saying, well, it could have blown. And then
yeah,
they're going, yeah, but look at this. It's there, and then it's getting charged, and then it's there, and
right.
then it's getting charged.
Yeah, yeah. Really great movie, man. And Damon, of course, is always great. He
Yeah,
really
he was good.
humanizes it.
He like was really good in this part and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously he's talking to himself and
right.
stuff like
A
that.
little bit of a castaway kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
But
then the whole thing with him listening to the disco music
oh
is
yeah,
good.
but
Yeah,
it was like a modern uh, or futuristic Robinson Crusoe
yeah,
movie, basically.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like you said, Castaway and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was like really good.
yeah, yeah. Well, cool. Well, glad to see you have it higher. So so what's your number three?
My number three is Ex Machina.
And I believe it's Ex Machina is the correct enunciation.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
Well,
I have
CH.
this higher also.
I use the German pronunciation.
Okay,
Machina.
fine.
So.
Whatever works. Yeah, that's a great one, man. I have that higher also. That's the one
Yeah,
where last week I thought it was in 2014 and I had to move it onto my 2015 list. Yeah, great
yeah.
movie.
So this guy working for the company is like a coder.
For like a
And,
Facebook-ish company. Yeah.
yeah, right. And he wins the contest to see his boss up in like these mountains someplace. They can only get there by helicopter. They drop him off, and it's kind of awkward the beginning of the movie and stuff
Right.
because he didn't know like why he was there,
Mhm.
and the way the entrance, how he got in, that you know he had to get a card made, to put into the thing, and it
Right.
did all at the thing and stuff like that. And then his boss is kind of weird.
Yeah, he plays like this one of these geniuses that's just socially awkward, but
Yeah, it's
you know,
socially awkward. So he's not
yeah,
like giving him a lot of information, but the gist of it is that he built this AI robot, and he wants the kid to interview the robot to
right,
see if you know if he can break the AI, if he can figure out, if he can see that it's a robot or if it's like really like a human AI that
Right.
he's like conversing with.
Yeah. And the robot is played by Alicia Vikander, I think is how you say
Yeah,
her last name.
Vikander.
And she's great, man. Like,
Or if you pronounce it in German, it would be Vikander.
ah, yes. But German pronunciation again. But yeah, she like sucks you in, man.
Oh
She's what
yeah,
hooks you into this movie because she does
yeah,
seem very real.
yeah. I mean, the first time he sees her, she's just like a
Yeah,
robot. You know, she's got, you
right.
know, what you call it, you know, a
Hmm.
head, you know, a metal
Yeah,
neck, you
right.
know, stem,
Hmm.
and, you know, like stems in the arms and the legs and stuff.
Right.
And
But yeah,
then she
she
starts
starts
dressing for
manipulating.
him.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she's and then you find, I mean, not to give too much away, but the manipulation is really coming from the creator, and it goes a lot of different ways, but man, the ending is pretty horrifying when
yeah,
you
it
know.
is. And the thing is, as the process is going on, besides, you know, the boss like controlling certain situations,
Yeah.
you start to wonder like who's interviewing who.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, cuz then she's getting a little too smart
Yeah,
for the creator as well. What's interesting too is the casting in this. At the time, the two guys were relative unknowns, but then the same year they both ended up in the Force Awakens Star Wars movie, Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac. And and in that movie they're also play against each other on different sides, which is interesting. But yeah, Oscar Isaac is so good in this, man. Oh yeah, they both are, but uh Isaac as the founder and the, you know, manipulator, who also has this other robot that he's
yeah.
uh
Uses as a sex toy.
basically, yeah. And they have this whole dance scene together, which is like ridiculous. So there's a lot of humor. There's, to me it almost feels like it's like Kubrick could have directed this. It feels like that kind of movie. And
Yeah, it is a little Kubrickish.
yeah, but it was Alex Garland, which was his first movie actually. So pretty amazing for a first time director to make something of this caliber. And yeah, again, that ending, man, is just like,
I
oh
know.
my
I
god.
would have liked to seen like a sequel.
Yeah, yeah, to see what happened with the AI. Does she take over the world? Because it's like, yeah, sky's the limit for her, it seemed like.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the end. So all right, cool. Well, great pick. So my number 3 is Spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
This is, you still haven't seen this, right? Or have you?
Yeah. Barbara and Kenny tells me that I watched it with them,
Oh, okay.
but
You
yeah,
don't remember?
it's like now, but it's like, you know, the whole thing with the priesthood and the altar boys thing that like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
I don't think I would watch the movie.
Yeah, this movie was also horrifying for the fact that you know, it was basically a true story, you know,
Yeah,
that the
definitely.
that this Boston newspaper uncovered. And the way that the movie is filmed, though, you know, even though it's subject matter that's like really depressing and sad, it's just a really well done kind of like who done it story, that the way that it unfolds, um with all the different investigators involved. Mark Ruffalo is in it, um Rachel McAdams, Michael Keaton plays the lead role. And this was actually interesting because I think it was one of the first, well, no, I guess Birdman was already out at this point, but Keaton coming back into like a dramatic role, he does really well here. And part of his story arc is sad, that when you realize like that people had been kind of pleading for years to like shine light on this story, but they were ignoring it.
Well, yeah,
uh
it just wasn't. This was took place in Boston or Massachusetts someplace.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
what gets crazy though is when you realize that it was not just in Boston. Like this was like a
yeah,
worldwide
this was
phenomenon.
worldwide thing.
Yeah. And not like, where they didn't really do anything to these guys. They just kept moving them around to different places. So it was just like it ended up being this just ring of horrible things done to children. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, the Catholic Church, I don't think has ever really recovered fully from this.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
don't think they ever will.
yeah,
Yeah, this is like a really bad stigma for them.
right. Yeah, so not a movie. I might have had it higher had it not been such a kind of like dark, sad thing, but because it was so well done. I think it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's just my number three. So what's your number two?
My number two, it's back. Star Wars.
Force
Of
Awakens. Okay,
course.
I wasn't sure if you would even have it. It's my honorable mention.
Okay. I thought that, you know, after watching 1 to 3,
Hmm.
that this was a most welcome
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Right.
Um,
And it picks up with the characters, that we were used to seeing and that we fell in love with in 4, 5, and 6.
oh yeah, just seeing Han Solo and Chewbacca on the screen again,
And yeah,
it made like the hairs on my arm stick up when I saw it in the theater. When he says Chewie, we're home, and the Millennium Falcon. This is like one of the ultimate I guess kind of fan service movies where they knew where to get you. Like
yeah,
when you see the
yeah,
Falcon for the first time when they're running and she says, oh, not that hunk of junk, and then the camera pans over. It's just it's great stuff. And JJ Abrams, obviously he'd already done this with Star Trek,
yeah.
so he was the guy to reboot a classic.
And I think he did a great job with it.
Yeah, no,
I mean, yeah, you
definitely.
had the fake, Leia Organa, but it looked decent.
Yeah. Well, no, in this one,
She wasn't fake.
she hadn't passed away yet. So yeah,
Okay.
it was really her. I think it was the second movie or during the second movie where she passed away. So yeah, you had Leia, you had Han, you had Luke for a brief moment in this one at the end.
Yeah, right. And then you had the new people,
Yeah, the new
Adam
characters are
Driver,
good. Hmm.
was good. The first time I saw the movie, I didn't think he
Hmm.
was, that good. But,
Not
watching
you
him,
can't really beat Vader. I mean, there's no way you're
yeah,
gonna get to that
right.
level.
Yeah, because he's a little wimpy.
Yeah, he's like a punk
He's
kid.
on
Yeah,
the fence.
right.
Should I be on the light side? Should I be on the dark side?
Right. But
Right.
this is what like they had to make him do something really terrible to make him, a formidable bad guy. So which he
Yeah.
does, not to give it
Yes, which
away,
he
but
does.
so
Uh,
yeah, he's great. I can't remember the actress's name who plays Ray, but she's really great, and especially in the action scenes, like really amazing. Playing this character who doesn't realize why she has the force, and that is delved into in the sequels. But yeah, I definitely better than the prequels, not quite the originals, but yeah, this run of Star Wars, I think.
yeah, I mean, you can see Ridley in the whole movie, with this.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like with the Star Trek movies that he did before that,
Hmm.
reviving those movies. So
Yeah.
he bases it on, the old stuff, bringing in the new stuff. I thought it worked pretty good.
Yeah. And
Especially the ending, with when you get to see Luke and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh, and it's
part of the movie was about, the quest finding him and whether they were going to find him before, the bad guys find him.
yeah. There's some like kind of weird stuff that I think doesn't quite work towards the end of the movie, where like just overnight, like R2D2 wakes up and is like, oh, by the way, I had this map the whole time. Like that kind of stuff is kind of stupid when you start thinking about it. But overall, it was really well done. And
well, I think it was because possibly because the robot, if it could sense Luke's lightsaber.
Oh, right. Yeah. There's explanations for everything. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can always, explain something and say, oh, it was like that and stuff. I mean, the first time I saw it, I felt it was a little hokey that, that the girl, picked up the Force so quick.
Right. And it's Daisy Ridley is her name, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, she's great. And but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that whole thing.
But then after you see the third one, you understand why she could pick up the Force so well.
Yeah, it feels like the first one of this series, there's some questionable things where you're like, I don't know. The second one, I feel like, was just overall great. And then the third one tries to explain everything.
I know.
And maybe too much.
Tying the first two together.
Right.
So like all the questions you had, were answered on the third one.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of people felt that the third one was a disappointment, but
yeah, I enjoyed it. I just thought it was kind of ridiculous, but I'm sure we'll get to that one on our future list. But yeah, it was fun to see too. Like I said, Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac. Isaac, of course, playing Poe, the fighter pilot for the rebels, and Gleeson being on the Imperial side. And they have some fun, jokey stuff between them also. But yeah, really, really well done. Oh, and also the stormtrooper who defects from the Imperials. I thought that whole thing was a really interesting, thing that hadn't been done before in Star Wars. So that was cool.
What was that?
Who's the guy that plays the stormtrooper that leaves and ends up being a rebel? I forget his name. His name is
John Boyega.
John Boyega, yeah. Finn, that character.
Oh, we got the pronunciation the same.
Yeah, not the German one. Awesome. All right. Well, yeah. So that's enough about The Force Awakens. We could probably go on and on about that. But so my number 2 was The Big Short.
Okay.
Which means my number 1 is Ex Machina, or Ex Machina in German.
Right. And which means that my number 1 was The Martian.
Ah, okay.
I'll try to figure this one out now.
Oh, man.
I mean, we had a lot in common on this one.
I don't know that we've ever had 3 in common. Maybe on some of the older ones.
We did.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. 1 and 4 is The Martian. 1 and 3 though is Ex Machina. So I think Ex Machina gets to be 1 and Martian 2. Okay, then what's the third one we had? The Big Short was your 5 and my 2. So that would be 3. So then Force Awakens would have to be 4 because that was your 2. And this is actually easy. So the next one down is my 3, which is Spotlight. So that gets the 5 spot because the next highest on yours is number 4, Mad Max. So pretty cool. All right. So what was your honorable mention?
Bananas.
Oh, I'm surprised this wasn't your number 1. I know you love those guys.
Oh yeah, I love the Minions. God,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the sequel to come out this year.
Yeah, yeah. So wait, is this what's the name of this movie? I forget.
Minions.
Oh, it is Minions. Okay.
Yeah,
Because I know they started out with a different name, right? Or something.
yeah.
The
Well, they weren't the stars.
Despicable Me or
Yeah,
something.
Despicable Me. They weren't the stars. They were.
Yeah.
They got their own movie to star in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the strange little yellow creatures
Right.
that are like in the hundreds. But yeah, they have like these three main characters basically and
Yep.
stuff. But the whole premise of the Minions is that their sole existence, they have to find the most evil creature in
Right.
existence at that time. And then they attach themselves to it,
Right. Yeah.
emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
physically, and they're there to protect that
Yeah.
person or thing or whatever.
Right.
And they always wind up hurting the person.
Yeah. Right.
Like the thing dies,
Yeah. I love the intro to the movie where it shows, the history of everything that they've
yeah,
attached themselves to and screwed up. And
right.
it reminded
And
me
they,
of that computer game Lemmings that we used to love so much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they love bananas.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't, it's like, and it's funny. It's like
Yeah.
there was one scene like where one of them is trying to pick up a fire hydrant.
Yeah. Right.
You
I
know,
remember. I love that you love this. Like when we came over, and I just remember I have this vivid memory of you in your chair, like very close to the TV screen, watching this with such joy on your face. And I just remember cracking up, thinking like, "Oh my God, this is so great!" Seeing this older gentleman being so sucked in by this kids
I
movie.
know.
So it was great. But all right, well, cool. Well, we got pretty good list. So my honorable mention was Force Awakens. I was gonna have it higher. It was like between that and Inside Out, and I don't know, repeat value wise, I think Inside Out won for me. So
Yeah, well,
I-
for repeat value, it would have been higher than the priest, whatchamacallit.
well, that's true.
You
Yeah.
see that movie once, and it's
Yeah, you don't need to
probably
see it again.
enough.
Yeah, I think I've seen it twice because I watched it once to see if it was something that Katya might enjoy, and then I thought, yeah, she probably would actually like to see this once, which she did, and that was enough for her too. But so that was it, and that probably will be it. but, but anyway, so here are the top 5 movies according to 3 and 4 of 2015. At number 5, Spotlight. At number 4, Star Wars The Force Awakens. At number 3, The Big Short. At number 2, The Martian. And at number 1, Ex Machina or Ex Machina. Yeah. Good list, man. Yeah. I think people that, nominate Academy Awards would be okay with this list, even though, of course, they always diss the Star Wars movies when it comes time for this.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars made $2 billion that year.
Wow. Crazy, man.
Yeah. Minions made $1.1 billion.
Really? That's insane. That's we need to come up with some kind of stupid cartoon that people love. But all right, well, great list. So we'll see you on the next one. 2016. We're getting closer and closer to present day, which means we'll have to start thinking of other alternate ones to do after we get
we'll
years
have
out
to
of the
figure
way.
out where we started and then count the other way.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Depending on how frequently we keep doing this in the next few months, the 2021 episode may be live and in person. We'll have to see.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That would be cool. And I think I've got my I think I've seen everything I want to see in 2021 at this point. So for last year.
Oh, for last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much have to.
Okay, cool. All right. We are prepared, Dr. Jones. All right. So we'll see you next week. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.